Are there lessons that you can draw or parallels you can draw from the medicinal cannabis world, especially, in the sort of pharmaceutical line of things, where people have been, obviously there's a lot of stuff anecdotal and some basic research around flower, but there has been a whole kind of pharmaceutical pipeline as well, and clearly this field is years behind that. So are there things that they did right and wrong that we can draw on to try to accelerate this line of research?
Absolutely. And so there's, I think the two of them are most comparable at their starting state, where you have a large body of anecdotal knowledge around a natural substance, and the fact that there's, a growing amount of the population that's seen benefit from that personally. That's the kind of starting point that I see as similar there. The thing that's different, though, is that cannabis, as it was moved forward, is really kind of both a recreational and a pharmaceutical type, category. Whereas what we're looking at here is, basically squarely a pharmaceutical type one, as far as the uses that we're looking at. But the theme of understanding the pharmacology of these products of nature using things like molecular biology, understanding the specific receptors, like David mentioned, the specificity within the serotonin receptor system is very much relevant. And so using those same sorts of techniques that have been applied ad nauseum in the pharmaceutical space and then have lent themselves more recently into the cannabis space to really drive some of the really medically focused research there. Out of places like Technion in Israel, there's some really strong research in that category. But that flavor of what's happened in the cannabis space, I think, is repeatable, and you can take best practices from the experimental design, et cetera, and apply it into this space. But the compounds, the nature of their use, and the best sort of medicinal value, I think, are starkly different at a certain point.
Well, what are the biggest, another comparable thing is that these molecules fall into kind of a regulatory and legal landscape of their own. I would think intuitively almost the psychedelics are harder to work with at this point, given the move towards legalization of marijuana in so many places.
Paradoxically, my experience in working in both industries is that it's actually the exact opposite of that. And it's because all the work that we're doing, and the vast majority, everything that we've been talking about on this call, and the vast majority of the industry is doing, is pharmaceutically focused. And so there's a very well-wrote, pathway of getting pharmaceutical drugs approved, researching them, et cetera. And so that actually, compared to the cannabis space, where there's a patchwork of different legal jurisdictions involved at best, is actually more straightforward. It's much more analogous to a regular pharmaceutical drug development.